Stop scrolling, stop consuming, stop telling yourself you're working on it. The truth is simple. Your life is not stuck because you need more information. It's stuck because you are drowning in noise, endless advice, endless opinions, endless tabs open in your mind. And while you hesitate, someone with less talent and less intelligence is moving and winning. This audiobook is a command, not a suggestion. Eliminate the noise, execute the essentials, and produce results. No more overthinking, no more fake productivity, no more hiding behind preparation. Less input, more output. Less talking, more doing. Less noise, more results. Starting now. Chapter 1: Information is not progress. You are not stuck because you don't know enough. You are stuck because you do too much that feels like progress and produces nothing. You scroll, you watch, you save, you highlight, you download, you organize, you prepare. And at the end of the day, your life is exactly the same. That is not growth. That is intellectual entertainment. Consumption is not creation. Say it again. Consumption is not creation. You have a choice. You can spend another year learning about the thing. Or you can spend the next 30 days doing the thing. Most people are addicted to learning because learning is safe. Learning doesn't judge you. Learning doesn't expose you. Learning doesn't fail in public. Action does. So you hide in information. You tell yourself, I'm getting ready. You tell yourself, I just need one more course. You tell yourself, I'm building my knowledge base. But your bank account doesn't change. Your body doesn't change. Your skill level doesn't change. Because consumption is not creation. Look at the real-world example you already know too well. The person with 47 saved courses, the productivity apps, the bookmarked videos, the notes about starting a business, the folder called My Future, and nothing finished, not one launched project, not one published piece of work, not one measurable result. It's not about intelligence, it's about discipline. That's the key. Your brain is tricking you. Every time you learn something new, your brain releases a small reward. It feels like movement. It feels like progress. But it is not. It is preparation without execution. It is motion without direction. It is noise. You don't need more input. You need more output. You have a choice. You can measure your life by what you consume, or you can measure your life by what you produce. One of those creates results. The other creates the illusion of growth. And illusions are comfortable. Real progress is uncomfortable. Real progress is publishing before you feel ready. Real progress is going to the gym when your program isn't perfect. Real progress is selling before your website looks beautiful. Real progress is writing the first version that nobody sees. Execution beats perfection. Say it again. Execution beats perfection. You don't need their permission. You don't need another expert to validate your next step. You already know enough to begin. That's the uncomfortable truth. The problem is not lack of knowledge. The problem is the refusal to apply. So here is the new rule. Learn, apply, repeat. Not learn, doubt, hesitate, quit. Learn one thing, apply it immediately, not next week, not when you feel confident, not when your schedule clears, immediately, because action creates clarity. That's the key. You don't think your way into confidence. You work your way into confidence. You don't research your way into results. You produce your way into results. Let's make it practical. If you are learning about fitness, your output is workouts completed. If you are learning about business, your output is offers made. If you are learning about content, your output is content published, not notes taken, not videos watched, not ideas planned, results. You track output, because what gets measured gets finished. And right now, most people are measuring the wrong thing. They measure hours studied. They measure books read. They measure podcasts consumed. That is the scoreboard of distraction. Your new scoreboard is simple. What did I produce today? Not what did I learn? What did I ship? What did I complete? What did I move forward in the real world? That is how you eliminate noise. Consumption is not creation. You have a choice. Every time you pick up your phone to learn something, ask one question: when will I apply this? If you don't have an immediate answer, you don't need the information. That's discipline. It's not about more knowledge. It's about controlled input and aggressive execution. Less noise, more results. And here is what will happen when you start living this way. Your anxiety will drop, because action kills overthinking. Your confidence will rise, because you will see proof of your own movement. Your identity will change. You will no longer be the person who is working on becoming. You will be the person who is doing. That's the transformation, from consumer to creator, from student to practitioner, from planner to executor. You don't need more time, you need fewer hiding places. Because information has become your hiding place, and today that ends. You will still learn, but with a weaponized purpose. Learn to apply, learn to execute, learn to produce. Learn right arrow, apply right arrow, repeat. That loop will change your life. That's the key. You have a choice. Stay addicted to information or become obsessed with results. One makes you feel smart, the other makes you powerful, and power comes from finished work. Remember this: the world does not reward what you know, it rewards what you deliver. Consumption is not creation. Less input, more output, less noise, more results. You broke the addiction to endless learning. Good. Now you must protect the most valuable resource you have, your attention, because information is not the only thing stealing your progress. Distraction is. You stopped drowning in knowledge. Now it's time to eliminate the constant stream of interruptions that keep you from executing. Chapter 2: Cut the input, multiply the output. Your problem is not time, your problem is access. Too many voices, too many tabs, too many notifications, too many opinions about what you should do with your life. And every single one of them is stealing your output. Every ping breaks your focus. Every scroll fractures your momentum. Every new piece of information resets your brain back to zero. You are not tired because you are working too hard. You are tired because your attention is under attack all day. Protect the signal, kill the noise. Say it again: protect the signal, kill the noise. You have a choice. You can be available to everyone, or you can be effective at what matters, not both. High performers understand something most people never learn. Attention is a physical resource. It drains, it depletes, it requires recovery. Just like a professional athlete protects their body, you must protect your focus. It's not about willpower, it's about environment. That's the key. Look at the real-world example. Two entrepreneurs. The first wakes up and checks messages immediately. Email, WhatsApp, Instagram, Slack, news, comments. Before they even begin their real work, their brain is full of other people's priorities. They live in reaction mode all day. They respond, they reply, they adjust. They get pulled into conversations they didn't start and tasks they didn't plan. At the end of the day, they were busy. But they produced nothing meaningful. Now the second entrepreneur. Messages checked twice per day, once at midday, once at the end of the work block. That's it. No notifications, no constant updates, no random input. Morning hours are sacred. Creation first, communication later, and their output doubles. Not because they are smarter, because they are protected. Protect the signal, kill the noise. You don't need their permission to disappear for a few hours. You don't need to be instantly available. You don't need to respond to everything. It's not about being rude. It's about being effective. You have a choice: be reachable or be exceptional, because constant access destroys deep work, and deep work is where results live. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of what you consume every day has nothing to do with your goals. It feels relevant. It feels useful. It feels urgent. But it is not essential, and the non-essential is the enemy of execution. So you need an input diet. Just like a food diet removes what weakens you, an input diet removes what distracts you. Fewer voices, fewer platforms, fewer sources of information. That's discipline. It's not about missing out. It's about multiplying output. That's the key. Here is how it works in real life. You pick 3 sources of learning, not 33. You pick 1 primary platform for communication, not 5. 1. You turn off all non-essential notifications, not some, all. Because every notification is a demand on your brain. Every vibration says, this is more important than your mission. And most of the time it is. Protect the signal, kill the noise. Your phone is not a tool right now. It is an open door. And everyone is walking into your workspace without knocking. You would never allow that in real life. So why do you allow it digitally? You have a choice. Close the door or stay interrupted forever. This is not extreme. This is elite behavior, because focus is a multiplier. 1 hour of uninterrupted work is worth more than 5 hours of fragmented effort. That's not motivation. That's neuroscience. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a tax, and you are paying that tax all day. So your new rule is simple: create before you consume. Produce before you respond. Build before you browse. That single shift will change your life, because the morning is when your signal is strongest. And right now, you are giving it away to the world. Protect it. Guard it. Treat it like it matters, because it does. It's not about your lack of time. It's about your lack of boundaries. And boundaries create output. You don't need their permission to be unreachable while you are building your future. Read that again. You don't need their permission. Your goals require isolation, not forever, but daily. A protected block of time where nothing enters and only work leaves. That is where your new identity is built. And here is what will happen when you start your input diet. Your mind will feel quieter. Your thinking will become sharper. Your execution speed will increase. Because clarity loves silence, and results love clarity. Protect the signal, kill the noise. You will notice something else. You will become uncomfortable. You will reach for your phone out of habit. You will want to check something. You will feel like you are missing out. That's withdrawal. You are not addicted to information. You are addicted to stimulation. And stimulation is the enemy of production. Sit in the silence. Work in the silence. Win in the silence. Because output grows in quiet environments. You have a choice. Live in reaction mode or live in creation mode. One creates stress. The other creates results. This chapter is not about removing tools. It is about removing interference. Less input, more output, less noise, more results, and once you control what enters your mind, you unlock the next level of power, because focus alone is not enough. You must aim that focus at one target, not many. One, you cut the noise. Good. Now it's time to concentrate all your energy into a single direction that multiplies everything. Chapter 3. Stop planning your life and start living it. You are not overwhelmed, you are overplanned, not with results, with intentions, color-coded calendars, 5-year visions, morning routines about designing the perfect morning routine, and still nothing finished. Let's tell the truth. Overplanning is fear wearing a productivity costume. It looks responsible. It sounds intelligent. It feels safe. But it produces nothing. Execution beats perfection. Say it again. Execution beats perfection. You have a choice. You can spend your life designing the perfect plan. Or you can spend your life living imperfect action. Because the plan is not the goal. The result is the goal. Most people plan because planning protects their identity. When you plan, you are still the person who could succeed. When you act, you risk becoming the person who fails. That's the real issue. It's not about productivity, it's about exposure. Planning keeps your dreams theoretical. Action makes it measurable. And measurement is uncomfortable, so you keep adjusting the plan. You add another step, another system, another timeline. You tell yourself, I'm getting organized. But your life is standing still. Execution beats perfection. That's the key. Action creates clarity faster than thinking ever will. You do not think your way into confidence. You move your way into confidence. You do not plan your way out of anxiety. You act your way out of anxiety. Motion removes fear. Motion removes doubt. Motion removes overthinking. Because once you are in motion, there is no space left for imaginary problems. Look at your own experience. The task you avoid feels huge in your mind, but the moment you start, it shrinks. That's not motivation. That's physics. Energy in motion stays in motion. So your new rule is simple. You do not add detail to the plan. You reduce the plan to action. The minimum effective plan. One target. One deadline. One next move. Not 10 goals. Not a vision board. Not a strategy document. One target. Because scattered goals create scattered effort. And scattered effort creates average results. You have a choice. Be busy planning or be dangerous executing. Let's make it real. If your goal is to get in shape, your target, train 4 times per week. Your deadline, the next 30 days. Your next move, put on your shoes and start today. Not research the best program for 3 weeks. If your goal is to start a business, your target, make your first sale. Your deadline, 14 days. Your next move, contact your first potential customer. Not build the perfect website. If your goal is to create content, your target, publish 20 pieces. Your deadline, 30 days. Your next move, record the first one. Not design the perfect content strategy. Execution beats perfection. You don't need their permission to start before you feel ready. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need the full roadmap. You need the next step. That's the key. Perfection is procrastination. It is socially acceptable procrastination. Nobody criticizes the planner. Nobody questions the strategist. But everyone respects the producer. Because producers change their lives. Planners talk about it. It's not about your lack of organization. It's about your lack of tolerance for imperfection. And imperfection is the price of progress. You have a choice. Be seen starting messy or remain invisible planning forever. Here is your new operating system. Think less, start faster, decide once, move immediately, adjust while moving, because the plan will change, it always changes. And the faster you start, the faster you learn. Speed creates feedback, feedback creates improvement, improvement creates results, results create confidence. Confidence eliminates the need for over-planning. That's the loop. And it begins with action. The minimum effective plan, one target. Say no to everything that is not that target. One deadline. Without a deadline, you have a wish, not a goal. One next move, not the full journey. Just the next physical action. You wake up and you ask one question, what is the next move? Then you do it before your mind has time to negotiate, because your mind will negotiate. It will suggest more planning, more preparation, more optimization. That is fear trying to survive. Do not negotiate with fear. Execute. Execution beats perfection. You will feel resistance. Good. Resistance means you are finally doing real work. Planning feels light. Action feels heavy, because action changes things. Action creates consequences. Action creates results. And results are the only thing that move your life forward. You have a choice. Stay in the safe world of plans or step into the real world of outcomes. This chapter is not telling you to abandon thinking. It is telling you to stop worshipping thinking. Thinking is a tool. Action is the mission. Less planning, more living, less theory. More execution, less noise, more results. And when you start living this way, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself, not your plans, yourself, because you become the person who moves, the person who starts, the person who finishes, and that identity is stronger than any strategy. You are no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You are creating momentum. That's the transformation, from planner to performer, from intention to impact, from someday to today. Execution beats perfection. You stopped drowning in information. You stopped hiding in planning. Now there is one more illusion to destroy. Because even with focus and action, most people still wait for something. A feeling, a surge, a magical state that makes everything easy. Motivation. You took control of your plan. Now it's time to understand why you never needed motivation in the first place. Chapter 4, The Myth of Motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unstable. They rise, they fall, they disappear the moment you need them most. Yet most people build their entire life around waiting for motivation. I'll start when I feel ready. I'll do it when I'm inspired. I just need to get my mindset right. No, you don't need a better mood. You need a better system. You don't need to feel ready. You need to start. Say it again. You don't need to feel ready. You need to start. That's the key. Because motivation is unreliable. It shows up when the task is easy. It disappears when the work gets hard. It vanishes on the exact day that matters most. So if your life is built on motivation, your results will always be inconsistent. You have a choice. Be controlled by your emotions or be guided by your standards. High performers are not more motivated than you. They are more automatic than you. They remove the decision. They remove the debate. They remove the question. They do the work because it is time to do the work. Look at the real-world example. The person who goes to the gym at the same time every day, not when they feel strong, not when the weather is perfect, not when their playlist is right. At the same time, every day. Some days they feel powerful, some days they feel tired, Some days they don't want to be there at all. They go anyway, and their body changes, not because of motivation, because of repetition, because of identity. Because they became the person who trains regardless. It's not about your lack of drive. It's about your lack of structure. That's the key. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline says, it's time, and time does not care how you feel. You don't need their permission to act on a schedule. You don't need perfect energy. You don't need emotional alignment. You need a non-negotiable, a fixed action that happens no matter what. Because when the action is fixed, the results are predictable. You have a choice. Live by mood or live by method. One creates chaos, the other creates momentum. Here is the transformation. You stop trying to become a motivated person, and you become a non-negotiable executor. Read that again. Non-negotiable, no internal discussion, no alternative plan, no I'll do it later. The work has a time. And when the time arrives, you move. That identity will change your life. Because identity eliminates resistance. When you are the type of person who writes every morning, there is no decision. When you are the type of person who trains every afternoon, there is no debate. When you are the type of person who produces daily, there is no overthinking. It happens automatically. You don't need to feel ready, you need to start. Most people are addicted to the emotional high of motivation. They watch videos, they listen to speeches, they wait for the surge. But the surge fades, and they are back where they started. You are not here for a temporary emotional boost. You are here for permanent behavioral change. So here is the system. You set a trigger, not a feeling, a time. 9 a.m. deep work starts. 6 p.m. training begins. 8 a.m. writing session. Same time, same action, every day, no negotiation. Because the more decisions you remove, the more energy you have for execution. Decision fatigue is real. Every time you ask yourself, should I do it now? You weaken your discipline. So you stop asking. You follow the schedule. That's the key. And here is what will happen. On the days you feel powerful, you will perform. On the days you feel terrible, you will still show up. And those are the days that change you. Because showing up on a bad day builds a new identity. You become dangerous, not to others, to your old self. The version of you that needed motivation begins to disappear because you proved something. You proved that your actions are not controlled by your emotions. That is power. You have a choice. Stay addicted to inspiration or become committed to execution. One makes you feel good for a moment. The other makes your life better forever. It's not about your lack of passion. It's about your lack of ritual. Ritual creates automatic behavior. Automatic behavior creates consistency. Consistency creates results. Results create confidence. And confidence eliminates the need for motivation. That is the real system. You don't need to hype yourself up. You need to show up. Again and again and again. You don't need to feel ready. You need to start. When you live this way, something shifts. Your emotions stop being the leader. They become the follower. You act first. The motivation comes after, not before. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Remember that, because most people have it backwards. They wait to feel good so they can act. You act, and then you feel good. That's the key. So here is your new standard. You do the work when it is time to do the work, not when it is convenient, not when it is comfortable, not when it is exciting, when it is scheduled. That is how real output is built. Less emotion, more execution, less waiting, more starting, less noise, more results. And now you are becoming someone new. You are no longer the person who needs to learn more. You are no longer the person who hides in planning. You are no longer the person who waits for motivation. You are the person who moves daily, automatically, without drama, without announcement, which brings us to the next level. Because there is one behavior that silently destroys consistency more than anything else: seeking approval, explaining your moves, announcing your goals. You built discipline. Now you must protect it from the outside world. Chapter 5: Silence the external scoreboard. You are not distracted. You are being watched, or at least you think you are, and that belief is controlling your behavior. Every move you consider, you imagine the reaction. What will they think? Will this get likes? Should I post this? Is this impressive enough? This is the external scoreboard, and it is killing your progress. Because when you perform for attention, you stop performing for results. Private work, public results. Say it again: private work, public results. You have a choice. You can live for validation, or you can live for transformation, not both. Validation feels productive. You post your plan, you announce your goal, you share the new routine, and for a moment you feel accomplished. People respond. They encourage you. They approve. They applaud the intention. But nothing in your real life has changed, because the reward came too early. That's the key. Your brain received the satisfaction without the execution, so the urgency disappears, the hunger fades, the work slows down. The more you announce, the less you accomplish. Look at social media. It rewards appearance, not progress. It rewards the idea of the gym, not the completed workout. The idea of the business, not the revenue. The idea of the grind, not the finished product. And slowly, without realizing it, you start building a life that looks productive instead of a life that is productive. It's not about their attention. It's about your addiction to approval. You don't need their permission to improve your life in silence. You don't need witnesses for your discipline. You don't need applause for your effort, because real progress does not need an audience. Real progress needs repetition. You have a choice: be impressive or be effective. One creates noise, the other creates results. When you announce everything, you create pressure. Now you have to explain delays. Now you have to defend slow progress. Now you feel judged while you are still building, and judgment creates hesitation. Hesitation kills execution. Execution beats perfection, so you remove the audience. You work in private. You train in private. You build in private. And then you deliver in volume. Because when there is no external scoreboard, something powerful happens. Your focus returns, your speed increases, your standards rise. You stop asking, "How does this look?" and you start asking, "Did I do the work?" That's the key. Internal scoreboards create real change. External scoreboards create performance. And performance is fragile because it depends on reaction. But discipline does not care about reaction. Discipline cares about completion, private work, public results. Let's make this practical. Stop announcing your goals, not some of them, all of them. Your next 30 days are silent. No progress posts. No day one declarations. No explaining your new journey. You simply execute daily. You track your actions for yourself, not for approval. You measure output, not engagement. Because your life is not a piece of content. Your life is a mission, and missions are executed in silence. You have a choice: talk about the work, or do the work. You already know which one creates results. Here is another truth. When you stop seeking validation, you move faster, because you are no longer filtering your actions through other people's expectations. You take bold steps. You try new things. You fail without embarrassment. You adjust without explanation. That freedom is power. It's not about being secretive. It's about being focused. Most people want to be seen working. High performers want to be seen winning. There is a difference. The first is noise. The second is results. Private work, public results. When you live this way, your confidence changes, because your confidence is no longer based on reaction. It is based on evidence. You know what you did. You know what you completed. You know how consistent you have been. That is unshakable. No comment section can give you that. No number of likes can replace that. You built it. In silence, you have a choice. Chase approval or build proof. Proof is internal. Proof is measurable. Proof is repeatable. And proof eliminates insecurity. Because you don't need to tell people who you are becoming, your results will introduce you. That's the key. The more silent your process, the louder your outcome. And when the results arrive, they speak for themselves. No explanation required, no justification needed, no performance necessary, just impact. This is how you eliminate another layer of noise. You stop performing for the crowd. You start producing for the mission. Less talking, more doing, less announcing, more finishing, less noise, more results. And now you are dangerous because you are focused, you are consistent, you are silent. But there is one more multiplier that turns discipline into unstoppable momentum. Because even with silence and execution, your energy can still be scattered. Your effort can still be diluted. Your progress can still be slow. Why? Because you are trying to move in too many directions at once. You removed the external scoreboard. Now it's time to concentrate all your power into a single target. Chapter 6. One goal, violent focus. You are not lacking potential. You are leaking power. Every new goal, every new idea, every new opportunity, another split in your attention, another division of your energy, another delay in your results. And then you say the sentence that keeps average lives average. I'm working on several things. No, you are avoiding mastery. One target. Full power, say it again. One target. Full power, that's the key. Because success does not come from effort alone. It comes from concentrated effort. Sunlight warms. A laser cuts steel. Both are energy. Only one is focused. You have a choice. Be busy in 10 directions or be unstoppable in one. Multiple goals feel ambitious. They look impressive on paper, but in reality, they create diluted output. You make a little progress here, a little progress there, a little progress everywhere, and you finish nothing. It's not about your ambition, it's about your discipline. Let's make it real. The person with 5 side hustles, a podcast that is inconsistent, a dropshipping store with no traffic, a YouTube channel with 3 videos, freelancing on the side, a course they are building. They are always working, always tired, always talking about how hard they grind, and still no meaningful results. Now look at the person who chose one scalable skill. One, they write every day, or they code every day, or they sell every day. Same hours, same effort, different structure, and within a year their entire life changes, because repetition creates momentum. Momentum creates visibility. Visibility creates opportunity. Opportunity creates income. That is the power of focus. One target, full power. You don't need their permission to ignore good opportunities. You don't need to say yes to everything. You don't need to explain your focus, because every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the right thing. That's the key. Saying no is not loss. Saying no is alignment. You have a choice: protect your mission or please everyone. You cannot do both. Focus requires discomfort, because it forces you to face one path, no escape routes, no backup identities, no distractions disguised as productivity, just the work, and the work becomes deeper, stronger, faster. This is where most people quit, because when you remove the extra goals, you remove the illusion of progress. Now there is only one scoreboard, and it tells the truth. Are you moving forward or not? That level of clarity is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Because now every day has direction, every action has purpose, every hour is multiplied. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less with intensity. One target, full power. Here is the transformation. You choose a primary mission for the next 90 days, not forever. Just long enough to create real traction. You define it clearly, measurable, specific, visible. Then you eliminate everything that does not serve it, not reduce, eliminate, because partial attention creates partial results. You remove optional projects. You pause secondary goals. You decline invitations that steal your focus, without guilt. Because focus is a force multiplier, and force multipliers change lives. You have a choice: live scattered or live concentrated. When you concentrate your energy, something extraordinary happens. You improve faster, because repetition accelerates learning. You gain confidence faster, because you see measurable progress. You get results faster, because all resources are moving in one direction. Speed is born from focus. That's the key. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of focused effort. 1 year, one target, full power. That combination is unstoppable. And here is what you must understand. Focus is not about time management. It is about identity. You become the person known for something, the person who does this, the person who delivers here. That reputation creates leverage, because the world rewards specialists, not dabblers. You don't need more options. You need more depth. It's not about your lack of talent. It's about your addiction to variety. Variety feels exciting, mastery feels repetitive, but mastery pays, mastery scales, mastery creates freedom. You have a choice: chase novelty or build dominance. One target, full power. Let's make it practical. Write down your current goals, all of them. Now circle the one that has the highest long-term impact on your life, the one that can change your income, your identity, your environment. That becomes your primary mission. Everything else becomes secondary or deleted, not forever, but for now. Because now is where results are built. And every morning you ask one question: what moves the main target forward? You do that first. Before messages, before small tasks, before distractions, main target first. That is violent focus, not emotional, not chaotic, disciplined, relentless, clear. You will feel resistance. Because saying no feels like losing, but you are not losing. You are investing, you are concentrating, you are multiplying your power. That's the key. Less goals, more progress. Less movement, more impact. Less noise, more results. When you live this way, your days become simple, not easy, simple. You know what matters, you know what to ignore, you know what to execute, and that clarity creates speed. You are no longer overwhelmed. You are directed, from scattered to strategic, from busy to effective, from average to dangerous. One target, full power. You eliminated information overload. You eliminated distraction. You eliminated overplanning. You eliminated the need for motivation. You eliminated the external scoreboard. You eliminated scattered effort. Now there is only one thing left that can silently destroy your output, your pace. Because even with focus, if you move too slowly, you lose momentum. If you hesitate, you give fear time to grow. If you delay, you weaken your own discipline. You have the target. Now you must learn to move fast. Chapter 7, Speed is a Superpower. You don't have a knowledge problem. You don't have a talent problem. You have a speed problem. You think too long. You hesitate too often. You wait for certainty that never comes. And while you are still deciding, someone else is already executing. Speed is not chaos. Speed is clarity in motion. Decide, act, adjust. Say it again. Decide, act, adjust. That's the key. Slow decision-making is not intelligence. It is fear wearing the mask of responsibility. You tell yourself you are being careful. You tell yourself you are analyzing. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment. But the truth is simple. You are trying to avoid being wrong. You have a choice. Protect your ego or build your future. Because speed requires the willingness to be imperfect, and most people would rather be slow and comfortable than fast and exposed. High performers move before they feel ready, not because they are reckless, because they understand a law that average performers ignore. Action creates information. Thinking creates doubt. You cannot learn to swim by studying water. You cannot build confidence by planning movement. You cannot grow by waiting. You grow by moving. Decide, act, adjust. Every time you delay a decision, you drain energy. Every time you postpone action, you weaken momentum. Every time you wait for certainty, you train yourself to hesitate. Hesitation is a habit. Speed is also a habit, and habits are built through repetition. It's not about your personality, it's about your training. That's the key. Imperfect action creates feedback. Feedback creates improvement. Improvement creates mastery. Perfection creates paralysis. Look at the real world. The person who launches the imperfect product learns what customers actually want. The person who waits for perfection learns nothing. The person who publishes consistently improves their content. The person who over-edits never develops their voice. The person who makes daily sales calls becomes confident. The person who prepares to start stays afraid. You don't need their permission to move fast. You don't need full clarity. You don't need guaranteed success. You need motion, because motion eliminates overthinking, and overthinking is the slowest path to failure. You have a choice: be the person who waits or be the person who iterates. Iteration is power. Iteration means you are always learning, always improving, always moving forward, while others are still planning. Decide, act, adjust. This is how you train speed. You create artificial deadlines, not flexible timelines. Deadlines, because a task without a deadline expands forever. You give yourself 48 hours to complete something that would normally take 2 weeks. You publish before you feel ready. You send the proposal before it feels perfect. You make the decision with the information you have, not the information you wish you had. That is execution training, and at first, it will feel uncomfortable. You will feel rushed. You will feel exposed. You will feel like the work is not good enough. Good. That means you are breaking the addiction to delay. Speed is not about being careless. Speed is about shortening the distance between thought and action. Most people have a massive gap between the two. They think, then they doubt, then they research, then they wait, then they think again. And the idea dies. You remove the gap. Idea, action, now that's the system. You will make mistakes. Of course you will. Speed includes mistakes, but mistakes made quickly are lessons. Mistakes avoided through delay are stagnation. It's not about avoiding errors. It's about accelerating learning. That's the key. Because the faster you learn, the faster you win. And learning comes from doing, not thinking. You have a choice. Be slow and safe, or fast and evolving. The market rewards speed. Opportunities reward speed. Confidence rewards speed, because speed builds trust in yourself. You become the person who acts, the person who finishes, the person who does not wait. That identity is powerful, because when you trust your ability to adjust, you stop fearing decisions. You know you will figure it out. You know you will correct the course. You know you will improve, decide, act, adjust. This becomes your daily rhythm. You wake up. You decide the priority. You act immediately. You adjust based on feedback, not next week, not next month, same day. That is how momentum is built. Momentum is not luck. Momentum is speed repeated daily, and momentum eliminates resistance. Because once you are moving fast, stopping feels unnatural. You don't need to feel confident. You need to move quickly. Confidence is a byproduct of speed. Read that again. Confidence comes from fast action, not from perfect preparation. You have a choice. Live in delay or live in momentum. Less waiting, more moving. Less thinking, more doing. Less noise, more results. Speed compresses time. What takes others a year you do in 3 months. Not because you are smarter, because you act faster, you learn faster. You adapt faster. That is the advantage. And in a world where most people hesitate, speed makes you unstoppable. But there is one more truth. Speed without direction is wasted motion. Speed without the right environment is constantly interrupted. Because your surroundings can either accelerate you or slow you down. You learn to move fast. Now you must build a space that protects and multiplies that speed. Chapter 8. Your environment is louder than your intentions. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your environment. Read that again, because this is where most disciplined people lose. They think success is about willpower. It is not. Willpower is fragile. Willpower gets tired. Willpower negotiates. Environment does not negotiate. Design beats discipline. Say it again. Design beats discipline. That's the key. You can have the strongest intentions in the world, but if your phone is next to you, you will check it. If your workspace is cluttered, you will avoid it. If the people around you live in distraction, you will slow down. It's not about your character. It's about your conditions. You have a choice. Force yourself to perform in a broken environment or build an environment that makes performance automatic. High performers don't rely on motivation. They rely on design. Look at the real-world example. The writer who produces every single day, not because they are inspired, because they sit in the same place at the same time with the same setup. A clean desk, no notifications, only the tool required for the work. That space has one meaning: produce. So when they enter it, their brain switches modes. No debate, no delay, no resistance. Output becomes the default. Design beats discipline. Your current environment is not neutral. It is programming you. Your phone within reach is programming distraction. Your open tabs are programming fragmentation. Your comfortable couch is programming passivity. Your circle is programming your standards. You don't need more self-control. You need fewer triggers. That's the transformation, from fighting your environment to using your environment. You don't need their permission to redesign your space. You don't need to explain why you moved your desk. You don't need to justify why your phone is in another room, because you are not being extreme. You are being effective. You have a choice. Stay in an environment that weakens your focus, or build one that multiplies it. Let's make it practical. Your workspace must become a production zone, not a storage area, not an entertainment center. A production zone, only the tools required for your main target, nothing else. No visual noise, because visual noise becomes mental noise, and mental noise kills output. Design beats discipline. Your phone has a new home, not in your hand, not on your desk, in another room, because every time you see it, your attention splits, and split attention creates slow results. Your digital environment matters too. Close everything that is not essential. One task, full screen, one target. Full power. This is not minimalism for aesthetics. This is minimalism for execution. You are removing friction from progress, because friction determines behavior. If the gym clothes are ready, you train. If the junk food is visible, you eat it. If the work is open and waiting, you start. Default actions create your life, so you design better defaults. That's the key. And then there is your human environment, the people around you. You don't need to cut everyone off, but you must understand this. Standards are contagious. If you are surrounded by people who delay, you will slow down. If you are surrounded by people who execute, you will accelerate. Energy transfers, expectations transfer, work ethic transfers. You have a choice. Stay in circles that normalize distraction, or build proximity to people who normalize output, even digitally. What you watch, what you listen to, who you follow, all of it builds your mental environment, and your mental environment determines your identity. Design beats discipline, because when the environment is right, discipline becomes lighter. You don't fight yourself to start. You start automatically. You don't struggle to focus. Focus is the only option available. You don't rely on motivation. You rely on structure, and structure creates consistency. Consistency creates results. Results create confidence. Confidence reinforces the environment. That is the loop. Right now, most people are trying to win in environments designed for distraction. And then they blame themselves for lacking discipline. No, change the design, change the result. Your home must have a place for execution. Your day must have a protected time for deep work. Your devices must serve your mission, not steal from it. Engineer your life so that progress is the path of least resistance. That's the transformation, from effort to alignment, from force to flow. You are not becoming stronger, you are becoming smarter. You are removing the need for constant self-control, because constant self-control leads to burnout. But intelligent design leads to automatic success patterns. You have a choice. Live in reaction to your environment, or make your environment a weapon. Less friction, more output. Less temptation, more execution. Less noise, more results. When you do this, something powerful happens. Your discipline compounds. Because every day the environment pushes you forward, not backward. You wake up and the default is progress. You sit down and the default is creation. You move through your day and the default is execution. No internal war, no constant negotiation, just movement. Design beats discipline. You eliminated distraction. You eliminated over-planning. You eliminated the need for motivation. You eliminated external validation. You eliminated scattered focus. You increased speed. You engineered your environment. Now there is only one thing left that determines whether all of this turns into a new life or fades into another temporary phase. Your daily standard, because success is not built in intense moments. It is built in repeated ordinary days. You built the system, now you must make it non-negotiable. Chapter 9. Track what actually matters. Effort feels good, progress is better, but measurement is what makes progress real. You don't rise because you're motivated. You don't win because you're busy. You win because you track the right things. What gets measured gets finished. Say it again. What gets measured gets finished. Most people live in a fog of self-deception. They say they are working hard. They say they are consistent. They say they are trying. But when you ask for the numbers, there is silence. How many hours did you actually train? How many pages did you actually write? How many calls did you actually make? They don't know. That's not effort. That's emotion. You have a choice. You can live in feelings or you can live in facts. That's the key. If you don't measure output, you drift into comfort and call it effort. You mistake motion for progress. You confuse preparation with performance. Tracking removes the illusion. Numbers don't care about your mood. Numbers don't care about your excuses. Numbers tell the truth. And the truth is where transformation begins. What gets measured gets finished. Right now your goals are probably vague. Get in shape. Grow the business. Be more consistent. Work on my craft. That is not a target. That is a wish. Wishes don't change lives. Scoreboards do. You need visible proof of execution. Not ideas, not plans, not intentions. Execution, hours worked, reps completed, pages produced, sales made. That's the game. You don't need their permission to track your own performance. You don't need applause to build a private scoreboard. You don't need motivation to write down a number at the end of the day. You need discipline. It's not about motivation, it's about measurement. It's not about talent, it's about repetition. It's not about potential, it's about proof. What gets measured gets finished. Here's the shift. You stop asking, did I work hard today? You start asking, what did I produce today? Because output is the only language progress understands. A writer who measures inspiration will never finish a book. A writer who measures pages per day cannot be stopped. A lifter who measures motivation skips workouts. A lifter who measures completed sessions transforms their body. An entrepreneur who measures ideas stays broke. An entrepreneur who measures sales learns fast and earns faster. That's the difference. You have a choice, comfortable story or uncomfortable data. One keeps your ego safe. The other makes you powerful. Daily scoring creates urgency. When you know you must write down a number tonight, you move differently in the morning. When you know your day will be judged by output, not intention, you eliminate distractions faster. When you know the scoreboard is waiting, you execute. That's the key. Urgency is not created by fear. Urgency is created by visibility. You can't hide from a number. And that's exactly why most people never track. Because measurement removes the ability to lie to yourself. No more, I had a productive day. You either did the work or you didn't. No more, I'm getting better. The numbers either go up or they don't. No more, I'm consistent. Your log either proves it or exposes you. This is where discipline is born, not in hype, not in motivation. In daily, undeniable proof. What gets measured gets finished. So here is what you do. You build a personal scoreboard. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. 1 to 3 metrics that define a winning day. Not 10, not 20, not everything. Focus. If you're a writer, pages written. If you're in sales, calls made, deals closed. If you're in the gym, sessions completed, weight lifted. If you're building a business, outreach sent, content published, revenue generated. You decide your metrics based on output, not activity. That's the key. Answer emails is not output. Scrolling for research is not output. Planning is not output. Finish something, produce something, ship something, then record it every day. No debate, no negotiation, no emotional interpretation, just the number, because the number becomes your mirror, and mirrors don't lie. You will have days where the number is low. Good, now you know. You will have days where the number is high. Good. Now you know what winning looks like. Feedback creates awareness. Awareness creates control. Control creates dominance. You don't need their permission to hold yourself accountable. You don't need an audience to validate your progress. Your scoreboard is private. Your discipline is personal. Your transformation is inevitable. What gets measured gets finished. Here's the deeper truth. Tracking is not about pressure. Tracking is about freedom. Because once you know the real inputs that create results, you stop wasting energy on everything else. You stop guessing. You stop hoping. You start executing. Clarity replaces anxiety because you finally understand the game you're playing. And when you understand the game, you can win it. You have a choice. Live in cycles of hype and disappointment, or live in a system of daily proof. One keeps you stuck. One makes you unstoppable. And the moment you start tracking, something else happens. Your standards rise because you can see your average. You can see your best. You can see your worst. And your mind starts chasing improvement automatically, not for motivation, for the score. This is how professionals operate. They don't rely on how they feel, they rely on what they can measure, because measurement turns effort into a game, and games are addictive. You want to beat yesterday, you want to raise the baseline, you want to extend the streak. Now consistency is no longer a personality trait. It's a visible pattern. That's the key. What gets measured gets finished. So at the end of every day, you face the truth, not the story, not the excuse, not the intention, the result. And that daily confrontation builds a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying. You become someone who produces. You become someone who finishes. You become someone who wins, because winners track, losers talk. You have a choice. And understand this, tracking is not about perfection. Some days will be messy. Some days will be low. Record them anyway, because this is not about ego, it's about data. Data tells you how to adjust. Data tells you what works. Data tells you where to go next. And that is how mastery is built, not by guessing, by measuring. You've learned to focus. You've learned to move fast. You've learned to design your environment. Now you make progress undeniable, visible, quantified, real, because in this system, effort is no longer a feeling, it is a number. What gets measured gets finished. Carry this forward and your life stops being a cycle of starts and stops. It becomes a chain of completed targets, proof stacked on proof, day after day, number after number, reality replacing illusion. You are no longer hoping for change, you are recording it. And once progress becomes visible, discipline becomes permanent. You stopped negotiating with your time. You stopped lying to yourself. You started playing to win. Now you're ready for the next evolution, the force that multiplies every metric, every hour, every action. Because once you can measure your work, you must learn to protect your energy. Chapter 10. Become the person who finishes. There is a graveyard filled with brilliant beginnings, business ideas, workout plans, books half written, courses half completed, goals announced with passion, then abandoned in silence. Starting is easy, talking is easy, planning is easy, finishing is rare. And rarity is where power lives. Starters talk, finishers win, say it again. Starters talk, finishers win. You are not judged by what you begin. You are defined by what you complete. That's the key. Talent doesn't separate you. Intelligence doesn't separate you. Resources don't separate you. Completion separates you. Because the world rewards delivered value, not potential, you have a choice. You can be the person with endless ideas or the person with undeniable results. You don't need their permission to finish. You don't need perfect conditions to finish. You don't need applause to finish. You need identity. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your self-trust. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build it. Identity is not built through thoughts. Identity is built through evidence, kept promises, finished tasks, closed loops. Starters talk, finishers win. Right now, most people are addicted to the dopamine of the beginning. New goal, new notebook, new strategy, new program. It feels like progress, but it's not progress, it's escape. Because finishing is uncomfortable. Finishing requires confrontation. It forces you to face imperfection. It forces you to face boredom. It forces you to face the possibility that the result won't be amazing. So people start something new instead. You have a choice. Protect your ego or build your identity. It's not about excitement, it's about execution. It's not about inspiration, it's about endurance. It's not about ideas, it's about closure. Starters talk, finishers win. A finished simple project beats a perfect unfinished one every time. A finished basic workout plan beats the ultimate program you quit. A finished small product beats the business you never launch. Because completion compounds. Every finish makes the next finish easier. You start to see yourself differently. I am someone who finishes. That belief changes everything. So here is the protocol, the finish line protocol: fewer starts, more completions, visible proof. Step 1, reduce active goals. You cannot finish 10 things at once. You pick one primary target, one secondary at most. Everything else is parked, not abandoned, parked. Because focus creates completion. That's the key. Step 2, define what done means before you begin. Most people never finish because they never define the finish line. Work on my business has no ending. Get in shape has no ending. But launch version 1 by the 30th. Complete 12 workouts this month. Write 30 pages. Now there is a finish line. And finish lines change behavior. You run differently when you see the tape. Step 3, make completion visible. You track it. You document it. You create a wall of proof. completed projects, published work, closed deals, before and after transformations, not for the world, for you. Because your brain needs evidence that you are who you say you are, and every time you look at that evidence, your standards rise, starters talk, finishers win. Here is the deeper transformation. When you become a finisher, your confidence is no longer motivational. It is factual. You don't hope you can do hard things. You know you can because you have done them again and again and again. That's the key. Self-trust is the ultimate performance enhancer, and self-trust is built through completion. You have a choice: be known for your potential, or be known for your results. Potential gets compliments, results get paid. Potential gets attention, results get freedom. You don't need their permission to become relentless about finishing. You don't need to explain why you stopped starting everything. You don't need to justify your focus. Because your life changes when your output changes, and your output changes when your identity changes. From starter to finisher. It's not about doing more, it's about closing more. It's not about speed, it's about consistency. It's not about perfection, it's about delivery. Starters talk, finishers win. Here's what this looks like in real life. You stop reading 5 books at once. You finish 1. You stop launching 3 projects. You complete 1. You stop switching workout programs. You complete the full cycle. You stop redesigning your plan. You execute the current one to the end. And something powerful happens, momentum, because every finish removes mental weight. Every open loop drains energy. Every unfinished task whispers, you didn't follow through. But every completion sends a different message. I do what I say. That message changes your posture, your decisions, your standards. You become dangerous in a world of dabblers, because while they are starting again, you are finishing again. You have a choice. End your days with a list of things you touched, or end your days with something you closed. Completion is a habit. And like every habit, it is trained. You train it by finishing small things, daily, non-negotiable. Finish the workout, finish the work block, finish the outreach target, finish the page count, not because it is big, because it reinforces who you are, a finisher. And once that identity locks in, bigger completions become inevitable. Because you don't stop halfway anymore. That's no longer who you are. Starters talk, finishers win. Understand this: the marketplace, relationships, health, wealth, and mastery all reward the same trait. The ability to follow through when it stops being exciting, the ability to deliver when it becomes difficult, the ability to close when others drift. Completion is the ultimate competitive advantage, because most people never develop it. You will, you have a choice. And from this moment forward, your standard is simple: less starting, more finishing, always closing, because every finished action is a vote for your future self. Every completion is a brick in your new identity. Every closed loop is a step toward total self-trust. You are no longer the person who almost did it. You are the person who did, and that is the shift that makes everything else possible. You faced your fear, you built focus, you moved with speed, you engineered your environment, you tracked your truth. Now you became the one who finishes. And when you become the person who finishes, there is only one final evolution left: the standard that determines how far this new identity will take you. Because finishing once is powerful, but finishing at a higher and higher level. That is how empires are built. You don't need another book. You don't need another video. You don't need more advice. You need to decide. Decide that your attention is no longer for sale. Decide that your goals matter more than your comfort. Decide that starting and finishing are your new personality. Less noise, more results. Less thinking, more doing. Less talking, more producing. From this moment forward, measure your life by what you complete, not what you consume. Protect your focus. Execute your plan. Finish what you start. And here is your challenge starting today for the next 30 days, one goal. One daily action. 0 excuses. Track it. Finish it. Repeat. No announcements. No debates. No waiting for motivation. Disappear into the work and let the results make the noise. Your new life is not built by what you know. It is built by what you do. Now move.